things, but I do have a few questions, Brad. As far as, I feel comfortable with my school, but I still get nervous before the ARD meeting. So do you have any tips on how to handle that anxiety before the ARD meeting?
I think first of all, just normalizing that anxiety, that we all feel that way, right? This is a big meeting. It's an important thing. We're talking about the direction of our child's education. And that's going to create some of that. Whether we have a great relationship with our school or it's not so great, we're going to experience some of this. We recognize that we're in that meeting advocating for her. And as I mentioned in the presentation, we're the carrier of that vision. That's a pretty decent burden to carry, right? That's where I want to emphasize relationships so much, is because if we're in relationship with our school, they know that vision. And hopefully we've won them to it where they share it as well. So that when I start feeling my heartbeat race a little bit and the hair on the back of my neck start to stand up, that I remember quickly that I'm amongst people who share my desire for my student.
As far as, you talk about vision building, is there anyone else I should bring to the ARD meeting with me?
I would like to think that my team is already in that room. And so the people in that room are the people who know her, and from some perspective bring an expertise. Would I tell you that there's never a time to bring an advocate with you? No, of course there are times. There are just times that get really hard and we're at an impasse and we just need someone to help us. But I would suggest that a large percentage of the time, if we work hard to build relationships that are healthy and give and take relationships, we have everybody in the room that we need, because they are familiar, they know her, and they're going to help us get to where we go.
Do you have the best tips of how to get all my questions or things addressed in the ARD meeting?
Very practically, write them down. Because we do get emotional, right? We get hurried, right? We're looking at the clock and we see time going on, and we know everybody has another place to be and to go, and so we start to get a little panicky. But write them down and take them with you, and just make sure. And it's always okay to go back and say, I know we talked about this a little bit, but can I get a little more clarification? The worst thing to do is to walk out without questions being answered, and then it gets put in a formal document, and it becomes really difficult to adjust it from there.
I also love how you talk about the done, like looking at the end. And for those of us that are still in survival mode, do you have any guiding questions on how to get us more to that state of acceptance, or to goal building and dream building?
We start looking for strengths. It's easy to get focused on the things that Haley doesn't do well, because we're always looking to improve that, right? We do speech therapy for her to speak more clearly. We do physical therapy for her fine motor skills. We do all of these things trying to help with deficits, but we all have deficits. What would happen if we started focusing on her strengths and looked at all of the things that she might do based on her strengths, so that we see a bright future for her? I think the greatest opportunity to move people out of survival is to help them see a brighter future. And I've had people tell me, because Haley's fairly high functioning, she's very social, she's mobile, she's verbal, that in some ways it's easy to do that when you have a Haley versus someone who may not have those gifts. And I would say they're right. But I would also say, and we could tell story after story of kids who are far more limited, who found their purpose. And once they found their purpose, they had hope. And so did their
Cut.
parents.